we have such a sickness in this country that involves not just crime, but the lies that follow. Because I know everyone now knows about the white kid that was stabbed in the heart by the black kid at the high school track meet. I don't think the altercation between the two had anything to do with race. I think the response on social media, though, has everything to do with race, because it actually baffles me that people donated to a teenager for killing another teenager and then running with all these different narratives that it was self-defense. The white kid was a bully. The black kid was a victim of white supremacy. Have y'all lost your collective minds? Because I know damn well that if the roles were reversed, you'd be singing a different tune. You have a kid that brought a knife to a high school track meet, allegedly placed himself inside a tent he wasn't supposed to be in, instigated a physical interaction by challenging someone to touch him while he was grabbing a weapon, and then stabbed the kid that took him up on that challenge, and then had the audacity to ask if it could be considered self-defense. If you have to ask, the odds are not in your favor. And now people are taking this tragedy and twisting the narrative that he deserved it because he was white, and being white is a provocation. It sounds pretty racist to me. If you lack the fundamental integrity to call out unjustified violence because of race, you could just keep your mouth shut.
As you guys know, I've been covering the Austin Metcalf case, and with this case, and just about any other case for that matter, I always notice that a lot of people have a shoot the messenger mentality. It's almost as if people don't understand that I don't create these news stories. I don't make these news stories. My job is to report on them and to give you my honest opinion, to call things how I see it. And that's what I always do. And when covering this story really early on, pretty much from day one, before a lot of other people were brave enough to say anything, I immediately called this for what it is. And I told you guys that this story is kind of turning into a story about race. It's out of my control. It's not something I want. Austin Metcalf's family even stated that this is not something they want. But it's happening regardless. The attacks on Austin Metcalf's family, the attacks on Austin Metcalf's character, the hatred, the vitriol, the fake post, the impersonating officers, fake police reports, all to make Austin Metcalf look bad. All of that stuff that is happening, it's racially charged. And it was easy for me to see that this was going to become a case that didn't really focus on the actual details of the case. Usually we're discussing, is this right or is this wrong? What did he do in this moment? What did he do in that moment? Right now, it doesn't matter. It may matter in the eyes of the law, if you will, but it does not matter in the eyes of public opinion, in the court of public opinion. They could share a video tomorrow. We could see everything go down with our own eyes. It doesn't matter. People have already chosen sides on this matter. So in many ways, this case has spiraled into something that is less about the actual factual details and more about all of the shenanigans, if you want to call it, all of the craziness, all of the discourse, all of the drama, all of the debates surrounding the case. And most of those debates and conversations have nothing to do with the actual details that were provided in the police report. So it's my job to call things how I see it. And if I saw it a different way, I would say it. But unfortunately, this is how I see things. That this is becoming a story about race, or at least a racial aspect is involved. And if you say otherwise, you're just not being honest. Now, I don't think Carmelo attacked Austin because of any racial hatred that he had. I don't think that the altercation itself had anything to do with race. I don't think Carmelo stabbed Austin because he was white. And I don't think Austin confronted Carmelo and told him to get from under their tents because he was black. Even though the rest of us are viewing this situation and we're discussing race, I don't think these two kids had that issue. I don't. At least I don't think the personal confrontation between the two of them had anything to do with race. But as you're watching, portions of an entire community do whatever they can, go out of their way to try to demonize Austin Metcalf, to say that race doesn't come into play here at all in this conversation you would have to ignore all of the stuff that Austin's family is unfortunately having to go through right now with all of the fake information and stuff being spread online. And the argument can be made that people are saying hateful things on both sides. It's coming from, different directions. It's coming from white people and black people, and I would not deny that. But the more coordinated coming together as a community, forming these fake autopsy reports, forming the fake police reports, and spreading all of these fake narratives, it's basically all coming from one side. But I understand that also, just like some people have this shoot the messenger mentality, also it's not always the message that upsets people. It's the messenger. If they see someone that looks a certain way say something, they may accept it, when they won't accept the same message coming from someone that looks this way or that way. So I want you guys to watch this clip of someone who was basically acknowledging what I've been trying to say in some of my videos. But before we tune into this clip, people often ask, how can they support the channel? The answer to that question is very simple. You can support the channel by simply liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and dropping a comment below and becoming part of the conversation. But if you want to take the support even further, you could always send a super thanks or a Cash App. It's always greatly appreciated. But with that being said, let's roll this clip and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
I'm getting to the point where I'm having to accept that the tragic story of Austin Metcalf has little, if anything, to do with who was in the wrong, who was in the right, has nothing to do with self-defense, but instead, this is a demonstration of just how deep the hatred and disdain is for young white men in America today. And I could just put a blanket statement and say most white folks. In the Western world today, the woke Western world that has been created and conjured, if you are the white man, you are automatically seen as the problem, which is deeply ironic because decades prior, the roles may have been reversed, especially on that Democratic plantation, where they push laws such as Jim Crow to make you less than a human. Yeah, it's interesting to me how we now live in a day and age where people will literally raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for somebody who took somebody else's life unprovoked. And I use that word intentionally because there is nothing that would provoke you to take somebody else's life unless it is genuine self-defense, which the police reports say that it was not. And everybody who was in attendance has already stated that that is not the actual case. I don't care what the father may say. I don't care what any other spectator may say on that day. When it's all said and done, this story is about what happened after the fact, about the response and the reaction of those who purport to care and love for people until it's somebody who does not look like them or somebody who does not fulfill their own political agenda. That's what this is about. There is nothing else here. And you're going to look at me and say, oh, I'm a sellout, I'm a this, I'm a that. I honestly don't give a damn what name you got to call me. But these are the facts.
As you guys heard, he made a lot of the points that I've been making. And he's absolutely correct in what he said. And so many people that are looking at this story, and I've mentioned this, they're all saying, what if the shoe was on the other foot? What if it was the other way around? What if it was a young white boy that stabbed a young black boy? How would people react? Oh man, the riots, the protests, and I get it. That's true. We would be having an entirely different conversation if it was the other way around. But here's how I want you to think about things. Because everyone is trying to think about it from that angle. Oh, if a white kid did this, it would be a big issue. Yeah, it would have been. They would have said it was a hate crime. There would have been all types of stuff. You know, they would have been going absolutely insane. But think about it from this angle. Forget the white on black crime aspect of this story. What if a white kid did this to a white kid? Do you think this story would be blowing up in the way that it is? Do you think that there would be any debate at all when it comes to, is this self-defense? Or is this? Or is this that? What about this technicality? Do you think there would be any debate at all here? Do you think there would be anyone online saying, hey, it's totally okay for this white kid to stab this other white kid in the chest, at a track meet over a sitting dispute? If this was a white kid and another white kid, we probably wouldn't have even heard about the story, but it definitely wouldn't be viewed in the way that this story is viewed. There would not be a single argument online about self-defense. There wouldn't even be a thought in people's mind that, hey, this has to be self-defense. There would be no one excusing the crime. There would not be an entire community of people coming together to defend the kid that stabbed the other kid in the chest if this was two white kids. Tell me I'm wrong. Everyone would just universally agree there would be no hesitation on anyone's behalf. There would we have to have a very, complex and nuanced conversation about this case. No, there would be none of that. There would not be any big political figures or political commentators making controversial takes on the case. No, everyone would just say, hey, stabbing a kid in the chest at a track meet is wrong. That's simple. It's really that simple. And when you look at the Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf case, it is a very simple case. And that's what's so frustrating for me when it comes to covering this case, because I've covered dozens of other cases, and all of them have been way more complicated and complex. We're often still trying to figure out who done it, who did it, where's the person, who's the suspect. Here it is clear, cut, and dry. A kid stabbed a kid in the chest at a track meet, had no business having the knife in the first place. He killed the kid and then admitted to it right there on the scene after throwing the knife and running away a little bit. It's a clear, cut, and dry case. Yet we have to have these complex, complicated conversations over right and wrong when we're all grown adults and we all know the difference between right and wrong. But because this is a black on white situation, everyone forgets what's right and wrong. Everyone throws their morals out of the window to resort to a more tribal type of mentality. And I'm on the side of what's right and wrong. And what happened to Austin Metcalf was wrong. Plain and simple. And when acknowledging the reality of this case, it would be a huge injustice to Austin Metcalf's family, who obviously don't want to speak up themselves. It would be a huge injustice to just ignore the hatred that is being spread as Carmelo Anthony's family is playing the race card and they're playing the victim card, knowing that supporters of their son are out here, spreading the lies and stuff that they are. But here we are, all grown adults. Most of you all have kids, some of them older than Carmelo and Austin Metcalf. We all know what happened was wrong, yet we have to have this debate. And we would not be having this debate if it was two white kids. Everyone would acknowledge this is wrong, and we would have moved on. RIP. Let's go to a case that's a little more complex, where the details are a little unclear, and we're unsure who's guilty of what. In this case, we know for damn sure Carmelo's guilty. He even admitted it. But it shows you how tribal in nature people can be, how just downright effed up people can be. When someone can admit to a crime like stabbing a child in the chest, and people will still defend it and act like he didn't do it, even though he said he did it himself. But for now, you guys let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.